Thank you, Dean Jagath Kalaruchi, graduates, loved ones, and distinguished faculty. In this exploding era of AI, I read that the most important thing is to ask the right questions. And just like I did with this speech today, I asked ChatGPT what I should share with you, and I decided not to take her advice, and against her wisdom, I decided to go off script and share a little bit about some of the key questions that have made all the difference in my life. Graduation is actually a wonderful time where we transition from questions like, where in the world do I start to figure out how to do this mathematical proof? Or when am I ever going to use this in the real world? To questions like, what is the incredible, unrealistic cause that I'm going to devote my life to? And I do believe it should be incredible. I hate it when I'm told to set realistic goals. No hero that I look up to has ever accomplished only realistic goals. And so, to couple with that, you must ask the question of what are the realistic daily, weekly, and monthly habits that will ensure that you make that dream possible. Today I would like to suggest a question framework that has made all the difference in my life. Years ago, I read the Walter Isaacson biography of Steve Jobs, and I got depressed. Steve Jobs had done what I needed to do, which is to simplify complex technology so that everyone can use it. Every one of our robots has GPS, lasers, radars, gyros, accelerometers, radios, and computers. And these vehicles need to coordinate their efforts to optimize the flow of things like gold out of a mine, crops out of a field, move dirt to create roads. We need to make these so simple that unskilled and perhaps even illiterate workers can set up, supervise, and service those autonomous fleets of vehicles. Steve Jobs was able to push his engineers to do those elegant simplifications that allowed for anyone to be able to use that technology. He would caustically inform people that their technical solution, their baby, was ugly. Many quit. Many were fired. But enough thick-skinned engineers remained long enough to create the miracles that he demanded. I, on the other hand, am completely incapable of this kind of critique and confrontation. In fact, a president of a multi-billion-dollar partner company told me many times that I needed to fire myself and hire a real CEO because I was too nice. Well, the formula for getting to the product we needed was clear. I needed to find a way to convert my softness to toughness so that I could assure that we succeed. I tried really hard. I even prayed to be a jerk. Okay, not in those words exactly, but prayed that I could point out the blemishes in these engineers' robots without a second thought for their feelings. I couldn't do it. No matter how hard I tried, even though I knew it was the only way to win, I just couldn't muster up a respectable insult about the flawed infant robot before me. It was infuriating. So frustrating and depressing that I was so fortunate to be at this amazing university at the right time with the right customer to spin off a company and then to realize and discover that I didn't have what it took. That was a hard time. It was a dark time. I saw no path. After a few months of despair, I remembered Abraham Lincoln's suggestion that if you would win a man to your cause, convince him that you are his sincere friend. I thought, wait, what? I can do that. What if my care for my engineers could be a superpower instead of a terrible weakness? I realized that I was like David in the David and Goliath Bible story, where I was trying to put on Saul's armor and wield his sword. And I am not a sword guy, I'm a slingshot guy. And I just couldn't hire a sword guy either. I believe Abraham Lincoln was telling me that the kindness, the care about others is really something that could be even more effective. And that friendship, that we would have for each other as well as for our customers. That care for our customers would ensure that we would have a more motivational team and that we would endure. So my question changed from how can I be tougher on my engineers to what is the culture for my slingshot? That could be the fuel, that could be the approach, and even the cause. I immediately changed course, immediately changed the company's mission, vision, and goals down that direction. A CEO coach of mine named Dan Sullivan said that you need three kinds of people to have a successful business. You need make-it-up people who are creative visionaries, who can influence others. You need make-it-real people who are focused, detail-oriented, and good at execution. You need make-it-repeatable people, team members who are good at process, scale, and systems. Make it up, make it real, make it repeatable. So in addition to asking about my approach, I needed to ask about my unique contribution. How could I make the most of it? How could I spend more time on it? How can I protect against my downsides? I also asked who I knew with the complementary skills in make it real and make it repeatable, that had interest in my cause and who could help make the most of my slingshot approach. In this quest, I've learned a fascinating fact that our perceived weaknesses could be turned into strengths, and our strengths could be weaknesses in the right context. For example, my optimism would be a terrifying weakness if I was the one doing the safety systems for a 400-ton mining truck that could run over your house. Another example, once we had an incredible quality assurance manager who could detect the tiniest weakness in our robot designs, but that also meant that she was incredible at detecting the weaknesses in those around her and even in herself. So the question to ask yourself is, what is my unique contribution across the make it up, make it real, and make it repeatable spectrum? Don't try to be someone else. We need you to be you. Surround yourselves with friends who can complement your strengths, who can cover for your blind sides. And don't be hard on yourself or your friends for those perceived weaknesses, because they are likely key contributors to their superpowers. Now, in the pursuit of your cause, you're going to face some surprise resistance in the form of adversity. The important thing to remember, as all athletes know, is that resistance is the only way to develop the muscle needed to reach big goals. You don't get strong muscle without muscle ripping. In the global recession, we were facing bankruptcy. All of our robot markets had dried up, and we were out of options to feed our people. Our chief financial officer saw the writing on the wall and packed up his office to leave. On his way out of the driveway, he passed our son on his way to his death in a police chase. Our son suffered from depression and had another rough day of bullying at school. He came home distraught, got in a fight, and took off with our family vehicle, never to return. In my quest for meaning in it all, I came across a story of a man named Don Wood who suffered from cystic fibrosis. During one painful surgery, he dreamed that he was in a classroom and watching an instructor teach about the things you're to learn in this life. The teacher taught that there were some fast tracks and that one of them was cystic fibrosis. He was surprised to see himself in the back of the classroom raise his hand and volunteer for that disease. Can you imagine how he lived the rest of his life thinking that he chose cystic fibrosis like we choose barbells when we go to the gym? Viktor Frankl, the psychologist who lived through imprisonment in the German concentration camps, said, "Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, only by lack of meaning and purpose." Now armed with meaning and purpose for the pain that he was going through, Don was transformed from victim to victor, from feeling like he was one of the weakest in the world to one of the strongest, someone valiant and tough who chose the toughest journey. This changed my life. I had new questions like, why did I volunteer for this knockout punch? Or even more important, how can I respond so that I can make this something that I would actually volunteer for? As I've studied adversity, I've been astounded at how many people wouldn't take back their blown off limbs or some other disability that they had because of what they became through that loss, because of those who they were able to help, and because of the meaning that they discovered. Driven by these different sets of questions, my wife and I rebuilt our lives. We found miraculous healing and courage as we turned to the Savior. We shifted our priorities and created a foundation in our son's name to lift others. Day by day, we clawed our way forward. My wife Reagan saved the company, selling some of our land for one payroll, then using our son's life insurance for the next, and then the vehicle insurance for the next. Miracle by miracle, she found a way to finance our recovery. And after a year, we were able to afford our son's tombstone. We rebuilt our company stronger. We learned that successful product companies develop and consistently follow processes to do what I'm describing, to turn their muscle-ripping setbacks into muscle-building opportunities so that they can one day look back and be glad they happened. Ford calls theirs improvement from setback process the 8D. They ask questions like, who is the best team that can turn this to our good? What is the root cause? And what can we do to improve our company to be better thanks to this opportunity? So now when our $6 million mining truck slides off a muddy road into the side of a mountain, we quickly move from those questions of who is to blame to better questions like, how do we turn this setback into the opportunity that will lift our company and make it so that we can achieve even greater heights because of it. Even small, frustrating surprises have been transformed in my life as I've asked these type of questions, like, how can I make it so I'll be glad that I sat in this traffic jam all afternoon? Is there an audiobook that has the answer to a problem we're having at work? Is there a family member who needs a phone call? Changing my questions has changed my life for the better. Looking at your plans ahead, full of unknowns, opportunities, and obstacles, look for questions that can transform the impossible to the possible. Again, develop question frameworks like, what dream is worthy of my hands, my heart, and my mind? What daily, weekly, and monthly habits will make those dreams possible? What is my unique contribution, and how can I make the most of it? What kinds of friends do I need to have around me to make that dream team a reality? Why would I have volunteered for this muscle-ripping resistance I've just been slammed with? And how can I lift with my knees to build the muscles I need for the next phase of my dream? And greatest of all, how can I give back in gratitude for all that I've been blessed with? Especially to those in attendance today. To finish, I want to answer questions you may have been asking yourself. Yes, the world really does need your unique contribution. Yes, there are ways to turn your perceived setbacks, your perceived weaknesses to strengths. And yes, you will use a lot of the stuff you learned at USU in your careers. You're equipped to solve the greatest problems facing this world, and I couldn't be more confident in commending you to be the ones to tackle them. Congratulations, USU engineering graduates of 2023.